Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Indiana State Police Roadshow. I'm your host, Sergeant John Perrine, the Public Information Officer for the Indiana State Police Indianapolis District. The Roadshow is brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance and Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the State Police Alliance. For more information, visit www.indianasfinest.com. We want to thank Network Indiana and Matt Hiblin for getting us on the radio across the state of Indiana, on the radios across the state, or radio stations across the state. We thank him for that. The man behind the camera putting us on the Indiana State Police YouTube channel is Tom Trial. As always, thank you for his efforts. He works really hard to make us look good, which for Mike and I is not an easy task.
It's not. There's no green room around here to get powder put on it.
Yeah, well, you know, I did get your list of requests that you sent in, and we were all out of blue M&Ms and, you know, whatever, you know. So
one of these days when we hit it big time, maybe we'll get that kind of treatment.
We haven't even made the wall at Fox 59 yet. As much as we go there.
You saw my fake picture I put on the social media with my Emmy. I mean, I think that was the closest you and I are ever going to get to winning an Emmy.
I know. So my guest today, a familiar face, familiar voice to the show, is Deputy Chief Mike Pruitt from the Bargersville Fire Department. Wears a lot of hats in his community. He's also the elected coroner in Johnson County. But, man, it is that time of year. Can you believe it already? Merry Christmas.
We just blew through Thanksgiving like it was nothing, and now Christmas is here. And it almost puts you in a panic mode because you're thinking, we're still in November, and then all of a sudden December's here and wham, it's on.
I know, and so here we are coming up on Christmas, and you know, just a good time of year. I thought it'd be fun just to have you come in, share some Christmas stories, some Christmas safety ideas. You know, so I know it's a time for gathering, and we all look forward to that. A lot of public safety people will be out working, along with a lot of other people that have to keep our communities running, and we thank them for that. But other than your autographed photo of me, what's the favorite Christmas gift you've ever received that you can?
Well, by far, that was my favorite.
Well, I know.
It shows up in my Facebook memories every year. But that was a classic. But you know,
I'll tell the story real quick. Is I get an email from Mike's sister, I think, and says, "Hey, I've got to get Mike a gift, and it's kind of a gag gift, and got any ideas?" And so I sent an 8x10 autographed photo of myself for him to unwrap at his family Christmas, which was quite a surprise.
Yeah, I still have it. I think it's in a closet, but I still have it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad. I'm glad you have it. I'm glad you haven't tried to sell it yet.
It was funny. Everybody in my family got a kick out of it, and then when I posted the picture online, I think everybody even got a bigger kick out of that.
That was a lot of fun.
That was creative. So, but Christmas is here, and you know, when we talk about Christmas safety, you know, you and I can speak on both sides of the fence from things that concern public safety. But you know, one of the things that I always talk about every year is when we're getting ready to decorate, if we're going to do a live tree, fake tree, whatever those situations are. There's a right way and a wrong way to do those things. So right now, I see a lot of people that have gotten out. They got their lights up. They're putting them up, or they'll be taking them down eventually. And so we got to be very careful when doing that. You know, we're putting those ladders up, because I'm probably one of the biggest violators of this. Sometimes I put a ladder in an awkward position, and I look at it and go, man, I hope that ladder doesn't kick out.
But you go anyway.
But I go anyway, you know, because I'm a trained professional, right, John? So I get up, put the lights up, and, you know, check off. But before I put them up, or any decorations in the home that have electricity in them, I want to make sure that my cords are in good condition. So one, nobody gets shocked, no fires start. If we're going to look at live trees are amazing to have in the home. I've had live trees on and off. They smell great. They look great. It's just very traditional. And honestly, it's very hard to catch one of these trees on fires. Like we hear every year the stories of Christmas tree fires. There's not a lot of them, but we know if you don't take care of these Christmas trees and you don't properly care for them, and you say you put it out early, and if you're not giving it a gallon of water every day, because it's amazing how quick these things will drink it up, they will get brittle. And then it all takes is like an open flame from a candle or something like that, or maybe a short in the electricity, and a fire can start from these Christmas trees. But if you take good care of them, they're awesome to have in the home. And then the other thing is, a lot of people like to throw the trash in the fireplace and burn it, after opening all the gifts, and it has all that glue in it, and that can create problems in our chimney, cause a flue fire. So we want to try to avoid some of those things.
Well, speaking of that, I think everybody likes the tradition. If you've got a fireplace, and maybe Christmas, maybe the only time of year you light a fire, what are some things you should be thinking about your fireplace before you throw some logs in there and blaze and light them up?
Get it inspected. And we preach it every year. If you have a fireplace, get this thing inspected by a certified chimney sweep. It's not one of those things where Dad gets the flashlight and shines it, looks in the flue and looks up there and says, it looks good to me. You really need to have this thing inspected and cleaned by a professional. That way you can burn safely, and then burn proper wood products in there, cured wood, not trash, not wrappers. Those are where we get ourselves in trouble. It creates that creosote buildup in your flue, and then you'll have a fire. And if you want to ruin Christmas, that's a good way to do it.
What's the first way to recognize that you're having a chimney fire?
So you'll hear it a lot of times, or maybe you're not getting good flow. You put the logs in the fire, you light it, and the smoke is backing up a little bit. The airflow is not good. Or a lot of times people don't open up the damper. I don't know how many calls I've been on where the house is filling up with smoke. It's on fire. We get there, and somebody just didn't open up the damper all the way. But a lot of times it's because you just don't have that airflow, and you'll hear it. You'll hear that noise. You'll start smelling things, and at that point, you definitely want to call 911, because sometimes that can spread into the attic space or the exterior of your home around a fireplace, maybe if you're in a newer home. So you definitely want to get the fire department on the way. And there's products that you can buy out there on the market, even just taking a dry chemical extinguisher and shooting a little of that, as long as you have an updraft to help extinguish that fire until the fire department gets there.
And talk about how fast those can get out of control, because it seems like to me, people would think, chimney fire, it's contained in the chimney. Let me grab a bucket of water, go up on the roof, and I'm going to dump a bucket of water down. They can go faster, right, by the time you get up on the roof.
Let me tell you a story about a gentleman who had a chimney fire. He got on his roof, dumped a bucket of water down the flue, and the heat expansion from the steam that it created, when he came back down, all of his fireplace, all the brick, everything was laying all over his living room because of the expansion of the steam. Wow. It caused an explosion in his living room. Huge mess. That's not how you extinguish these fires.
Christmas in a hurry.
It can. So try to avoid putting copious amounts of water in your flue whenever you have a flue fire. The best thing to do is basically close it off from the outside, so it's maybe not drawing so much air, because as long as it's drawing air and it's not able to, it'll just keep feeding that fire. Yeah. So we want to snuff it out. So you can buy the chimney flares, things like that you can put in a stove, a wood-burning stove, or the fireplace. Make sure you have doors on it so it seals it up, and you can hopefully get that fire under control. But you still need to get the fire department out there to do inspection. They'll climb up in the attic, they'll check it with thermal imaging to make sure it doesn't spread into your attic. Because if it spreads into your attic, it could be a case, and we've had these where everybody went to bed, fire broke out in the attic because of the fireplace, and when you don't have smoke alarms in your attic, you don't know the fire is burning until it's too late, until that drywall ceiling falls on your bed in the middle of the night, and that's when you know you got a problem.
Yeah. The other thing I know you like to talk about when it comes to cold weather and winter is space heaters and the dangers that you see. And the reason that you talk about it is because year after year you see the effects of somebody carelessly operating a space heater in their house.
I can watch TV these days and see a report of a fire that broke out, and I can kind of plug in all the key components: cold weather, a space heater. You can almost say, I bet you money that was started from a space heater, and lo and behold, a few days later, fire investigators will come out and say, yep, it started from a space heater being too close to something combustible. It was left on overnight. It was left when they left home. So we want to make sure these are 3 foot away from anything, especially during Christmas, because now Christmas we have trees and we have packages, and we're still trying to take a little bit of that chill off, and that space heater gets too close to something, can catch it on fire. So 3 feet away, shut it off when you go to bed at night. Shut it off anytime you leave home. Don't use extension cords with space heaters, because they just pull too much juice through a cord and can start a fire that way.
Yep. And so, Christmas tradition, what does Christmas morning look like at the Pruitt household? You don't have kids at home anymore, so it's you and the wife, but do you have something you do every year?
Yeah, I mean, and it's varied basically on what days we choose. Working a schedule as a firefighter over the years, 24 and 48, and now my son's doing the same thing, working 24 and 48. We have to work it around everybody's schedule. So some mornings we're up and gone to family get-togethers. The next year we might be at home, just my wife and I, maybe my son's there on mornings. So if we get that opportunity for all of us to be there, then maybe we'll open up gifts to each other. Or maybe we'll do it on Christmas Eve. We've just been kind of all over the board when it comes to that. How about you, John? What's your big?
Well, I still have young kids at home, so it's still all very traditional with us. And we have a lot of fun on Christmas, and we really try to enjoy just being together and being with one another and just taking in the moment.
No, that's absolutely, it's having this year, like when we're looking at gifts, and it's kind of it's like this year we're doing practical gifts.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about fire safety, buying people things like fire safes, fire extinguishers, smoke alarms, things like that. I love to buy stuff like that for people because I know that's things they can use. Especially people this year with the economy the way it is, gifts may get tough. So if you're going to buy somebody something, buy them something that benefits them, their whole family, that's safety oriented.
So you don't need like a new shirt or electric razor or the typical things.
I don't wear anything besides a fire department uniform most of the time, and the fire department supplies that, so I'm good to go.
Yeah. And we are easy to shop for when it comes to clothes, aren't we?
We are. You open up my closet, it's really not a good sight. It's all blue pretty much.
Yeah. A lot of these Christmas gatherings, people you haven't seen for a long time, celebrations, whatever they may be, sometimes they involve alcohol. And that's fine. And if people choose, that's great. I hope they enjoy themselves, but I hope they do so responsibly and then never get behind the wheel of a car. This time of year, Christmas, leading into New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, we do see an uptick on people that choose to drive drunk. And our hope is that we can intercept those folks before they hurt somebody else or hurt themselves. But we also need people's help. Feel free to call 911 if you see a drunk driver on the road or somebody that you think is drunk. Indiana hands-free phone law allows you to do that, allows you to use your phone in your hand to call 911 in an emergency. So don't let the hands-free law limit you from making that call.
Serving as the county coroner, since I've been in the office and also being in the fire service for many years, I've seen the catastrophic events during the holidays that happen due to alcohol and driving. And it's something that just sticks with you forever. It's a terrible thing to see. It's a terrible impact on the family. It's one that never goes away. Yeah. So make good choices. I mean, everybody likes to have a cocktail or make something good for Christmas, but like you said, then choosing to drive is a big problem. There's so many solutions with Uber, and even in Bargersville, we can get an Uber nowadays.
Well, and we think about that, and almost everybody, some way, somehow, has been affected by a drunk driver, whether that be somebody they know or love was killed, or hurt, or arrested, or whatever it may be. But unfortunately, we know that at a lot of families' holiday gatherings, there's going to be an empty chair this year, like there is every year. And it's because of a choice that somebody made, to get behind the wheel of a car and drive after they've been intoxicated or been drinking. And it's life-changing for a lot of people.
It is. And we hope that nobody ever has to experience that at all in their whole life.
No. And so certainly we love Christmas. You talked about decorations earlier, and I know a thing or two about being a cheapskate, but the technology of lights, right? So if you've got the old light strands that were passed down from grandpa, then now, because you don't want to go out and buy the new LED stuff, right? That could be a fire hazard by itself. Am I correct?
Yeah. I mean, if you plug the light string in, I mean, it's always good to inspect them first, but I don't know how many times the older lights, I plug them in and I'd be looking, at the cord, running my fingers down. The next thing you know, you find that bare spot in the cord real quick. So those are the things
so you don't just tape it up and move on.
You don't just tape it up and move on. That's not what I recommend. I know people are going to do that, but that's not what I recommend. And if you got those old lights, I understand you held on to them because your grandpa had them, right. But maybe it's time to move on from those lights. Make sure when you purchase your lights, they're rated for either indoor, outdoor, whatever.
When I was a kid, I remember these little bubble lights that we had on the tree, and they were really cool to look at. But if you touched them, they would nearly burn you.
Yeah, you get third-degree burns from grabbing all the Christmas tree lights.
Yeah, so certainly have to be careful when you're thinking about that. But it is cool. I do love this time of year seeing how many people go all out on their decorations on outside the house. You mentioned putting the ladders up and things like that, but man, some people are really creative on these things, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, just getting out of my car here on the Circle in downtown Indianapolis, the one thing I always like about the Circle during the holidays is, one, obviously the Christmas tree, but the music that's playing in the Circle.
Well, we did that for you. We knew you were coming. So.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, no, it is a lot of fun, a lot of tradition, a lot of holiday fun. We want everybody to have a safe holiday. Hopefully you can gather with your loved ones. For those that do have to work Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, we thank you. Mike and I have both been there. Chance that it will be there this year, depending on what happens. So certainly thank those that are making those sacrifices, and also the people that are the grocery stores and working in the gas stations and everything, so that we can all celebrate is really, really cool.
Yes, greatly appreciate it.
Well, my friend, Merry Christmas to you. Hope
Merry
you have
Christmas.
a great one.
You too.
And really, really excited to move into the next year, and maybe we can get back into doing some more videos next year.
It'd be nice.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody, for tuning into the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance. Everybody buckle up and have a Merry Christmas.